our lives. I really should stop doing that. They're gonna end up making me pay for it or something.
Uh, yeah. I'm all set up and I even got my craft ready already.
Nice.
And I read both chapters, so
Just a loud second while I open my seltzer.
all right.
There we go.
Now we're just waiting on a Karen.
Yep. Well, I could take the time to finish reading, I don't know, the first of the two chapters at least. I'm being a slacker. Mostly I just keep having time run away from me and then I'm like, whoa, it's what time already?
Yeah.
And today was first day of the new school year for my boys. For anybody watching who doesn't know this, we homeschool. So that's first day of the year is a lot of work for me.
Yeah, it
They've
is.
hardly done anything today.
Not
They have done
surprised.
stuff, but it's a lot of me setting everything up for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like first day is more prep work for you than it is them doing stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, as someone who used to homeschool a little myself.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am trying to work on I'm just working on cleaning off some rocks some more. And
Nice.
I ended up putting the other ones back in the polish for longer. Excuse me, to see if maybe they would polish. When I checked them halfway through, it still did not appear to be happening. So either
They're just not gonna polish.
they're not they're not going to polish with this polish, and I need to try the other polish method that I can't seem to find. Trying to get this lid out is always the hardest part. Not to mention trying to get it out without spraying
Wearing it.
all over myself.
Yep.
Or re-spraying it. Um, but um the either they're just not going to polish at all, or we'll catch them actually being polished live on screen.
Maybe.
My inclination is the former, but one can always hope. Why does this not want to open?
No idea.
Like, worse than usual. It's like this edge is already up and the other parts of it are not, it's not releasing.
How rude. So I've got some kind of exciting news.
Okay.
Thursday marks 4 years since I started my shop. Since the day I
Awesome.
decided and started working on my shop. So it's the day I quit my job at my at-home customer service job and started making stuff to sell.
Nice. Got it. Not quite as exciting as, 4 years of your shop, but still excited that I got it.
I mean, I haven't done much with it in the past year and a half for, understandable circumstances.
Yeah, you had a busy wow. Speaking of exciting news and stuff that's changed in the past while, do you want to share your other exciting news with our viewers who don't
Oh,
know yet?
that's what my viewers don't know, do they? So last month I got engaged and I have a very pretty ring.
And didn't tell anybody for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks. We wanted to wait until I could actually have the ring because the ring was the wrong size.
Which I totally get. But also, like, I'm special. You should have told me.
Sorry, I had told Karen and I had told the people that I live with, and my
Which
fiance
is
hadn't
still more than
told.
he had told.
He told nobody, literally nobody. He told no one. I'm like over here telling the people that are closest. And I was like, should I tell so and so? And he goes, no, I mean, if you want, I haven't told anyone. I'm like, really? You didn't tell anyone? He goes, no. I'm like, oh, like, whoops. Like, I told a couple people.
He I mean, like you knew it was coming, but still he like knew when he was doing it longer than you did.
Yeah,
So he had a little bit more time to acclimate his brain to it. To you, it was brand new thing, must tell people.
right? Well,
Ah,
he also fooled me because, so, mostly people don't know when the other one's going to propose, normally.
generally.
He had me convinced that he was going to do this Christmas proposal, in the botanical gardens, and just because first off, when we first got together, he had a dream about this. Okay. And he wanted to do it around Christmas, make it special, make Christmas more fun for him because he doesn't really have a lot of fun Christmas memories. Um, so I was like, okay, cool. I'm not worried about it. And then he just decided to, because of something I said, I guess, he switched it up and proposed to me on my birthday instead. So, or for my birthday, the time we were hanging out to celebrate my birthday. So,
Right.
I'm here.
hi.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, hold on. Forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, I did all that too. I even
Good.
turned off my alarm today. I'm on fire. Da, da, da,
Yeah,
da.
she was on before I had the live stream started.
And
She had her craft already there, didn't have to go get it.
no,
Wow, Lisa's
She's
ahead of
doing
the
better than
bar.
I am because I did not finish reading stuff.
I listened to the chapters, but not on 3 speed. I listened to it on 1.5 because the person reading it is really slow talker. So I listened to it on 1.5.
I do that. I listen to most
Their voice
podcasts.
just seems so slow.
I listen to most of my podcasts on 2x. But the New Yorkers I listen to on 1.5x. And sometimes it'll get to like a different podcast, and I'm like, why is this so slow? Do I not have it sped up for some reason? And I'll look at it and no, it is. That person just talks really slow, so much that even when I have it sped up, it feels like they're talking too slow.
Yeah,
Which, in
there are
case
people out there.
anybody hasn't noticed, I don't talk slow. I don't listen slow. I don't slow.
Nope.
Let's see. One of the great things about making soap is that when washing rocks, you're supposed to wash them with a mild soap and not a detergent.
There you go.
I have that in plenty.
Yeah. Just take one of your crumble bars, and use that.
One of my thin ends that isn't a full bar.
Exactly.
One of the little, like you said, crumble bits. In this
What
case,
is
I'm using one of the thin
non-sellable?
ends because it's literally within arm's reach and other things aren't.
Using a non-sellable, it works.
Yep.
Ugh.
So, how
Those
you
are
doing,
cute,
Karen?
kind of interesting chapters. Um, I was kind of hoping you read the second chapter, Caroline, because I cannot keep things straight, and I do not actually have the book in front of me to try and keep it straight.
I do have the book in front of me,
Okay.
so I can scan as we go.
I love how the three of us are reading in different ways. Lisa's got the audiobook, I've got the Kindle, and you've got the physical book.
Except
she's
for I was
also reading it
also,
online.
for part of the time, I was reading it online, and now I've actually got a physical copy because I found one at a yard sale.
Booyah.
Yard sales for the win. Yeah, it's hard to tell when they're still wet, but I really don't think these are going to actually be properly shiny.
Eh,
And I've got to get the other,
stubborn rocks.
I got to get the other, polish stuff.
Ugh.
All right. So,
Okay, so
Composition Day.
Yeah, chapter 16,
So-
composition day.
oh, did I read the wrong freaking chapters again?
I think I meant to say 17.
I read 17 and 18.
I think it was
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it's 17. I just said the wrong number.
Composition Day
Okay,
is chapter 17.
Okay. I was like, Karen said chapter 16. I'm like, wait a sec. Did I do it again?
No,
Nope.
Okay.
Your
This
sister's
one's
just
cute.
trying to freak you out.
Sorry.
Karen
I'm
can't
not
count.
sorry, she did it on purpose.
Oh, all right. Who wants to summarize the beginning of the chapter?
I'll go at the beginning of the chapter because that's about all I can properly summarize. So it's Composition Day, and they made the museum, and they were like, okay, we'll give essays and reports on the different things that we're learning, and it's the day to go to their little museum and give their reports and essays, and Nan gets to start, and
Because it's the younger kid's turn.
she has a bit of a not so hidden message in with hers. She talks about sponges and also makes pointed remarks about some of the boys not using sponges enough, and that she uses sponges on her face even though she doesn't like to because she needs to get clean, and some people just don't, and gives some pointed looks at some boys who very quickly decide that they are going to make sure that they are clean so she can't call them out like that again. And
On all occasions.
and she talks about sponges also being used in medical work, as she has taken such an interest in that. And that includes putting ether on the sponge and sticking it up to their nose and mouth to knock them out. And that's what they do when they're pulling your teeth. And that's what she'll do one day when she's gonna cut people's arms and legs off.
I like how that's what she assumes she's going to be doing is amputating people's limbs.
At all times. That will be her entire livelihood. And she's gonna be
Yes,
Dr. Quinn Medicine
the whole
Woman.
limb's got to go.
She's gonna be Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. And then oh, when she's talking about the boys not being clean enough, I think there's something else she says in there also, and somebody's like, okay, I think we're getting a little off topic here, and then the boys start like arguing, and she first she says, no, it's not off topic because we're supposed to talk about plants and animals, and sponges are plants and boys are animals, which is not true. Sponges are animals, but they're like,
No.
she's like, and boys are animals, right? And they're all like, no. And then I
Didn't
think
know
it's that part, it
sponges
might be a different
plant.
part, but they say something and she's like, I will not be interrupted.
Particularly.
Particularly, she's very emphatic with her extra long words and also emphasizing exactly who she's talking about. And then she finishes her speech about sponges with a little summary of her 3 morals, which makes everybody groan. That boys aren't clean enough. Wait, sponges are grow in the water. Boys aren't clean enough, and when the doctor uses ether to knock you out, just breathe deep, and then your teeth will come right out without any fuss. And so then Daisy goes next. Far more.
But she's shy about it.
She's very shy.
She's
And
like, mine's not as good as
Blush-
Nan's.
and blushes very prettily. And Uncle Franz assures her that they always like her essays and it should be fine. And she has a little essay about cats and somewhat about cats as a species, but largely about her cat. And in the middle of it, she says that some cats catch fish, then Teddy gets all excited and he's like, I do too!
She's
And
upset about a trout.
he caught that one fish. It was the most exciting thing that has happened in his little life.
That's right.
And it's so we were little side note, but we were camping over the weekend with my husband's family and my nephew, who is almost 3. Just so stinking adorable. And we ended up leaving. We were debating if we were going to stay Sunday night also or not. And the wind was kicking up and we hadn't slept well with the rain on Saturday night. And so we decided that we were going to leave. But he was already heading to bed. You know, we've been all sitting at a campfire together and everything. And we were camping only half an hour from home. So we were like, we'll just pack up and leave now and sleep in our own beds instead of sleeping uncomfortably and then packing up first thing in the morning anyway. And
Right.
so we went to say bye to him. And he goes, no, don't say bye. It's tonight. Say good night. And now every time I read anything that Teddy's saying, I just keep hearing it in my nephew's voice. Like, don't say bye. It's tonight.
Ooh, excuse me.
Anyway, so yeah, that's what I was picturing when like, you know, we catch fish and Teddy's like, oh, me too. And I was just picturing my nephew saying it. I catch fish. But yeah, then
I must have misread that because I thought it was Tommy who blurted out about the trout. I must have misread
No,
that.
I was Teddy because he caught the fish while he was in the tree with
and it was his first fish that he caught.
with
He was so
Joe
excited, he
and
wants to tell
Dan.
everybody about that one trout that he caught again and again.
I don't remember this. This must have been one of the chapters I missed.
It was last book club.
session. It was last session, yeah.
Yeah, I think I missed one of the. No, I bet. Oh, now I'm confused.
Oh well.
It's okay.
At any rate, and so she finishes her essay on cats and talking about how her cat likes to drink tea and like molasses and pudding, which most cats don't. And
Her cat likes tea, and when she has a tea party, her cat will bat the teapot till she gives it some tea.
Yeah. And when she finishes her essay, Nat says that one's first rate, and she's all pleased about this compliment to her friend, which I assume means that she takes it that he's saying that her cat is first rate, but I thought he meant her essay was first rate.
I thought it
Right?
said from her friend, not to her friend.
Maybe it did. Maybe I read it wrong. 'Cause that would
I
make no sense.
apparently read a lot wrong, so it could just be me reading the entire story wrong.
I don't know, when they do a lot of the pass around chapters like this where a lot of people are talking, I get easily confused on who said what.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
It was just
It is
a
no
lot-
longer he said, she said, it's who said, who said?
Who said what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Almost done scrubbing my rocks, and then I will dry my hand off and double
All
check.
right.
Um, I read a little bit further than that, but that's as far as
Next
I can
was
mentally go.
Dick and Dolly, right? Next it was Dick and Dolly.
Oh, no,
Who- Can someone remind me who Dick and Dolly are?
next was Demi's poem.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all it says is pleased with the praise of her friend. So I probably interpreted praise of her friend to mean her cat being praised, and she was pleased because she considers her cat her friend. And you're probably
Not the
correct
praise
that
of
it
her
meant the
friend, meaning her
praise
friend is
from
giving
her friend.
praise. Like,
Of is such an imprecise word.
All
And
right, I
like
will
that.
be back shortly, guys. I gotta go real quick. I'll be back.
Okay.
But you guys talk about Demi's poem.
okay.
Do you want to talk about Demi's poem, Karen, or do you want me to?
It was a cute little poem about a butterfly.
It was
And it
adorable.
reminded Joe about a poem she wrote as a child. Very
Adorable. There were definitely parts of it that, and this is Louisa May Alcott was such a brilliant writer of children, and being able to being such a good writer, she would know how to maintain a proper cadence, and she very deliberately didn't at times because children's poems often don't. And there were several times that I was like, oh my gosh, that is not how poetry works. That is not the same cadence the whole way through. And I just wanted to go correct Demi's poem for him. And that is why I'm not a teacher. Because
yeah, I
there's
did
that
notice
point where
that,
you need to, and I am a teacher of my own children, but I know how to, I know where my own children need praise and where they need encouragement, or at least I try to do my best with that, but different children, it's
require
different.
different things.
And I can say, oh, very nice to somebody if I don't have to grade it, or if I'm trying to teach them, then I'll be like, okay, so here are the things you need to do differently, but trying to do both at the same time is not my forte at all. Sorry for the extra dramatic lighting. I turned my lamp toward the rock so I can see as they're drying.
That's
So
okay.
what I
It
was telling Lisa before you were on, I put a bunch of my rocks back in to the polish to see if leaving them longer would finish the polish, and it does not seem to be working. So I'm not sure if
maybe
this
I'll have to
polish
find a
is going
different
to
type
work,
of
or
polish.
yeah, I really want to get a different polish option, but it involves two separate components, and I can't find one of them. I keep thinking some of these might be a little bit polished, but I can't tell until they're dry. So it might just be that some of them need longer, with some of the lower grits. That's the thing about this being my first time polishing rocks, trying to figure out when they're actually ready to move to the next grit is really hard. Anyway, so after Demi,
I believe it goes to Dick and Dolly, who I do not remember who they are. I was trying to wrap my brain. And then Jack, I remember Jack's the one that left because of the he's the one who stole the money and came, but then he came back. I know that was Jack, but I don't really remember Jack. And then there's Stuffy, who I think is the chubby one. Like, I have a really hard time keeping them all straight. There's just far too many characters that don't get mentioned enough compared to
Yeah,
the ones that do.
Stuffy, Nat, Nan, it's easy to mix up Nat and Nan's names. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, because they're one letter apart.
but their characters are so differentiated. It's easy to keep the
Yeah.
characters separate. Whereas, and like Dan, it's easier. But when you have, yeah, Dick and Dolly. Are Dick
Like-
and Dolly twins?
I think they're just siblings. Honestly, I think they're just siblings.
I can never remember. I should
Did
just
they come-
bookmark where they're all introduced.
I feel like they came in recently because she just started having girls like Daisy and Nan.
I don't think Dolly's a girl. I think Dolly was a boy because all I remember about Dolly is being like, Dolly? Okay.
Well, I don't have the book in front of me, so I don't have any of the pronouns that they use to
Yeah,
associate
Dolly's
with
short
them.
for Adolphus. Dick
Okay.
Brown, they're not even siblings. They're just
That's-
2 8-year-olds. Dick Brown and Adolphus or Dolly Pettingill. Dolly stuttered. That's Dolly's distinction. Dolly stuttered, but was gradually getting over it. Dick had a crooked back. But has a really good attitude about it. But that's the thing, I keep having to look back at the beginning to remember any of this.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember everybody, and I just
Yeah,
have such a good time with
remember a
it.
lot of them. So I like that Tommy with all of his last minute writing right before they went in. Essentially,
Yeah, he just wrote a letter to his grandmother.
yeah, wrote a letter to his grandmother as his composition.
As his composition. I couldn't remember what I was supposed to do, so I just wrote a letter to my grandmother.
He did admit that, yeah, he did admit it.
And wrote it with
Like 10 different
six
PSSs.
postscripts.
What does
Yeah.
NB or BN the NB stand for? Like I know
That's
what
fine.
PS stands for postscript.
Yeah.
But
Hold on, I'll look that up.
I didn't know what the other letters meant.
Sorry, guys. I come back yawning.
I didn't have crafts to do today. Just in here. I have beads on my desk. I have needles.
I
strings.
have beats for you.
Oh, good. Fun. I'm the host now. I don't want to be the host.
Oh no!
Don't make me the host.
lost Caroline. I wonder if
Don't
we're
make
still
me
live
the-
streaming. We are
It
still
still
live
says
streaming.
live. So I guess it's a
Okay.
live stream.
We just lost to Caroline.
We lost Caroline. I don't know. She was looking up something. And I think she might have hit the X on the wrong button.
Maybe. So what were you guys talking about? We'll try and continue it.
We were talking about Tommy writing his letter to his grandmother, and we were talking about Dick and Dolly. They're not siblings, and Dolly's not a girl.
No, Dolly's not a girl. No.
I couldn't remember who they were. And so anyway, so we were doing Tommy's. I don't even remember what Dick and Dolly did for their presentations.
They didn't do a written report. They did verbal.
Oh, that's right, they did. They
And-
watched things. They watched things.
Yes, because Dick was talking about no, Dolly talked about the dragonflies.
Dolly talked about the dragonflies.
I can't remember
And
what
Dick
Dick talked about.
about something else. But while he was talking about the grubs and the dragonflies in the mud, I was like, I could just remember swimming in the pond when we were kids and stepping in a muddy patch in the middle of the pond. It was like, oh, gross! This must be a dragonfly nest. And yeah.
Oh, Dick read one of Dan's books about insects, I think.
No, that was Dolly still because
Oh.
he didn't really watch the dragonflies for 2 weeks because he said that he learned a lot from Dan's book about dragonflies. Because he said that they hatch from the muddy nest after 2 weeks.
But they stay in the water for 2 years before they become dragonfly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where the 2 years. I was like, dragonflies live for 2 years, whereas most grubs only live for like a day or two, and here you got
I'm surprised that their gestation was 2 years. That I'm not sure. I want to look up and see if that's
look this up
true.
now.
I want to look this up now.
I want to look it up.
But yeah, I was like, considering I have a fascination with dragonflies.
Yes, we all have a fascination in our family with dragonflies. More than butterflies, we prefer dragonflies. Don't know why. Right. So we were talking about Tommy's letter to his grandmother and trying to figure out what the NB after postscript was, because PS stands for postscript. So like, what does NB stand for? Because he did like postscript, NB, postscript,
Right,
postscript, NB, postscript. There was 6 of them, and then we didn't know what postscript what NB stood for.
We have a Caroline back.
Yay!
I think.
Yeah, she's back.
Just staring at me. Huh?
No, I'm here. I sat here and like waved, and then it was like Karen just like started talking, and I was like, okay.
We didn't even see you, like, because Karen was just going on.
Sorry.
NB stands for nota bene, which is a Latin phrase that translates to note well or pay attention. It is used to draw the reader's attention to something important, like a key assumption or exception to an argument. It's often used in footnotes or endnotes. In contrast, PS is used to add extra information to the end of letter email. So he was adding extra information and then saying NB like.
Yeah, so like he said, oh, by the way, Miss Bear sends her regards, and Mr. Bear would have too if he known I was writing, was the NB. So it's like,
yeah.
So it's important to know that Mr. Bear does too, but he didn't know I was writing this letter. So
it was PS. If you come across any postage stamps, remember me. NB. Love to all and a great deal to Aunt Elmira. Does she make any nice plum cakes now? P.S. Mrs. Bear sends her regard. P.S. And so would Mr. B if he knew I was in act right. N.B. Father is going to give me a watch on my birthday. I'm glad as at present I have no means of telling time. I'm often late at school. P.S. I hope to see you soon. Don't you wish to send for me?
and Jill was like, oh my goodness, she'd be bedridden. Apparently she gets bedridden every time Tommy comes to visit.
He's exhausting.
He's a very exhausting child.
Basically, he's exhausting.
He's an exhausting teenager.
My kids are exhausting, and one of them's going to be a teenager in like 7 months.
When?
Which, frankly, I am more concerned about the second one becoming a teenager than the first one. So
I can see that. I can see that.
3 more years, 1 month, and 1 day before my second one will officially be a teenager. We are
Let's
1 month
see.
and 1 day away from his birthday. When he
My
was 10.
niece is a year and a day away from being a teenager.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, so that's what Tommy's story poem was or thing was a letter to his grandmother.
We still can't remember what Dick's was. We knew Dolly's was the Dragonfly presentation. Do you remember
Right.
what Dick had to watch? Or what he spoke about?
All right, let's see. Dick and Dolly did not write, but were encouraged to observe the habits of animals and insects and report what they saw. Dick liked this and always had a great deal to say. So he talked about the dragonflies,
Oh, I thought it was Dolly that did the
and
Dragonfly.
then I'm just trying to get to where it has Dolly's.
Oh, we thought Dolly did the dragonflies.
Well, we're just all screwed up today.
Nope.
So
Yep,
what did
Dick.
Dolly? If Dick did the dragonflies, Dolly.
I don't even remember. I gotta tell you, these chapters always mess
Well,
me
now I'm
up.
up to George. I'm not finding anything with Dolly.
Oh,
Oh, Dolly. No. Dolly had a few remarks to make upon the duck and made them in a sing-song tone, for he had learned it by
oh,
heart.
that's
He thought it
right.
a great thing to do it at all.
I made that thing about the eggs that upset Tommy because she's like, and the eggs are spoiled, and Tommy's like, mine aren't. Yes, yes,
Yeah, well, some
I remember
people's
that.
are. Yeah.
Tommy was very upset, saying that he was saying is the eggs were
Some are
spoiled.
inside ducks. Yeah. George is the one that talked about owls, right?
He had an owl.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah.
They put a hat and glasses on it.
Unfortunately, I do believe this was before there were such things as Tootsie Pops for the owls to be finding out how many licks it takes to get the center of.
And owls all lied. Owls always lied. Owls
We
don't
have
even have
now
tongues.
exceeded the point at which I had actually read.
All right. I
Okay.
think after George, I think it was Teddy's turn.
Oh yeah. Oh no, Teddy went before people because they didn't think he'd be able to remember his little poem very long. That he
And he said it all in one breath.
yeah, and he was so happy and excited. Some it's cute. I forget what it was, but it was a cute little poem.
I don't think anyone else went.
Yeah. So after
I think
everybody had given their presentation, they then call Dan up and they give him a little special surprise. I think it was Stuffy, Tommy, and somebody else grabbed it. And it was, of course, the microscope that they had planned on getting him that we'd read about in the previous chapters.
see, like, so Teddy was like, "Don't forget this surprise," which his mother had, of course, forgotten. But like, he made glasses on his face with his hands, and I'm like, "What is he talking about?" And I listened to the chapter probably like that section of the chapter 3 times, trying to figure out what he was so excited about receiving. If I'd have just listened for another minute, I would have found out it was the microscope. But like, it's like, what is he talking about?
The amount of times I do that when I'm listening to stuff or even reading stuff, and I'll keep backing up trying to figure out what it's talking about, and I just need to keep going forward to figure it out.
I'm like, oh,
I
the
just love
microscope.
my
Okay.
good Danny. Everybody loves him now.
Yeah, my good Danny.
My good Danny.
Teddy loves his
The one
Danny.
who loved Danny from the beginning.
And then Jack
Yeah.
tells him to come show it to them and refers to it as a spyglass. So let's just keep confusing the issue of exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Right.
you see things up close. I'm thinking it's some pair of binoculars.
Right. So Dan just kind of shows them all cool things like moth wings and leaf patterns on leaves and cobwebs. Yeah, just all sorts of cool things with his microscope. Oh, their fingers to see the waves and ridges. That was one I thought was cool.
Yep.
Um, and I can't remember exactly how the chapter ends.
It ends
I think
with,
that was it.
could I see anybody's soul with this microscope if I looked hard? Asked Demi, who was much
Oh,
impressed with the
yeah.
power of the bit of glass. No, dear, it's not powerful enough for that, and never can be made so. You must wait a long while before your eyes are clear enough to see the most invisible of God's wonders. But looking at the lovely things you can see will help you to understand the lovelier things you cannot see, answered Uncle Fritz with his hand on the boy's head. Well, Daisy and I both think if there are any angels, their wings look like that
That doesn't
butterflies
look
as
like
we see it through the
butterflies.
glass, only more soft and gold. Believe it if you like, and keep your own little wings as bright and beautiful, only don't fly away for a long time yet. No, I won't, and Demi kept his word. Goodbye, my boys. I must go now, but I leave you with our new professor of natural history, and Mrs. Joe went away well pleased with that composition day.
Yeah,
Yay.
that was cute. So the next chapter is called Crops.
I
And
cannot find.
this is where I got highly confused because they
It's a
were throwing
short
around a
chapter,
lot
too,
of
comparatively.
vegetables. Yeah, but they're throwing around a lot of vegetables with a lot of names, and I could have
Oh,
sworn the
God.
pumpkins were Tommy's, and then apparently they were Stuffies.
All
So,
right,
No.
let's
Tommy
see.
oh,
had.
no, the melons. Sorry, the melons were Stuffies. Sorry.
Totally gonna sound unrelated, but I saw somebody's bike at the beach the other day. They had a helmet hanging from it that the helmet looked like the rind of a watermelon.
That's
And I
cool.
spent like way too long just staring at the helmet, going like trying to figure out how to combine the words and like watermelon, water helmet. What? There's got to be a best way to combine this.
Hmm.
Anyway, so the gardens did well that summer, and in September the little crops were gathered in with much rejoicing.
Yeah.
So, what do you know from there? And I will scan through and see what I can find to clarify things for you and learn things for me that I didn't read before.
I do remember that Dan didn't have his own set of crops due to running away and being injured for most of the summer, but he did help other people with their gardens. Um, so again, to tell you how little time has passed, it's been a few months um, in this book. Um,
I like that they don't just excuse me, they don't just harvest the crops, but like Emil and friends um husk all the corn and take it to the corn mill and come home with cornmeal. So they don't just have the corn, they provide the family with cornmeal. And then they would take no money for their crop because, as Franz said, we can never pay Uncle for all he has done for us if we raise corn for the rest of our days.
yeah.
So sweet. Um, okay, so they had corn, Nat had beans. Um,
Somebody made good money. The first person made good money. I can't remember
Tommy's
who it
6 weeks
was.
beans were a failure because he didn't water them.
Yeah, he didn't water them in the drought. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Tommy's didn't make it. He then tried something else and that also failed.
Somebody had an amazing pumpkin that they were giving to their mother to bake into pie.
I haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh,
Demi
sorry.
had Demi had lettuce all summer, and in the autumn,
I
a
turned up.
basket sent his grandfather a basket of turnips, each one scrubbed up till it looked like a great white egg.
So it's like the grandmother, their mother, the old Miss March, had lots of lettuce for her cabbage for her salads, and then had Grandpa had all his turnips that he really loved. So
Yeah. So yes,
Daisy had
because
nothing but flowers in her little plot.
we were arguing about this last session if Mrs. March was still around. I think we were arguing about this last session, and maybe me, and Karen were.
Might
And
have been
yes,
you
yes,
guys.
she
I don't
is.
remember this conversation. It also could just be that I don't remember it.
So,
I
yes,
don't
yes, she is
remember a lot
still
of
alive
things.
while this
Yeah.
book is taking place.
Yes, she is. Because they gave her cabbage. So she's still alive.
Nan had herbs. Dick, Dolly, and Rob each grubbed away on a small farm and made more stir about it than all the rest put together. Parsnips and carrots were the crops of the 2Ds, and they longed for it to be late enough to pull the precious vegetables. Dick did privately examine his
Oh,
carrots and plant them again, feeling that Silas was right in saying it was too soon for them yet. Rob's crop
I
was
think
4 small squashes and 1 immense pumpkin. So that was Rob's. Pumpkin was Rob's. It really was a bouncer, as everyone said, and I assure you that 2 small persons could sit on it side by side. It seemed to have absorbed all the goodness of the little garden and all the sunshine that shone down on it, and lay there in a great round golden ball full of rich suggestions of pumpkin pies for weeks to come. Robbie was so proud of his mammoth vegetable that he took everyone to see it, and when frost began to nip, covered it up each night with an old bed quilt, tucking it round as if the pumpkin was a well-behaved baby. The day it was gathered, he would let no one touch it but himself, and nearly broke his back tugging it to the barn in his little wheelbarrow, with Dick and
Yep.
Dolly harnessed in front to give a heave up the path. And his mother promised him that the Thanksgiving pies should be made from it, and hinted vaguely that she had a plan in her head which would cover the prized pumpkin and its owner with glory.
Nice.
So that was the pumpkin.
Um,
Billy had cucumbers, but accidentally hoed up the cucumbers and left the pigweed instead of pulling up the weeds and leaving the cucumbers.
somebody had carrots. Did we pass that already?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
And then,
Dick. Dick had the carrots and pulled them up to examine them and then planted them again.
oh, whoops. Somebody had cantaloupe that they tried too early, but once it was ripe, they shared it with everybody, but did not have any themselves. I'm trying to think who that was.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like it made them sick for days, and they didn't know if they were gonna make it.
So,
They didn't.
so when it was actually ripe, they didn't have any.
Okay, I want to say a little bit more about Billy's because I love this.
Oh, okay.
He planted the cucumbers and then accidentally hoed up the cucumbers and left the weed. And he was very sad about this for about 10 minutes and then forgot all about it and sewed a handful of bright buttons that he had collected, thinking in his feeble mind that they were money and would come up and multiply so that he could make many quarters as Tommy did. No one he did what he liked with his plot, which soon looked as if a series of small earthquakes had started up. When the general harvest day came, he would have had nothing but stones and weeds to show if kind old Asia had not hung half a dozen oranges in the dead tree he had stuck up in the middle. Billy was delighted with his crop, and no one spoiled his pleasure in the little miracle which pity wrought for him by making withered branches bear strange fruit. Stuffy had melons.
Forgot that. Sophie had milk. Who?
Stuffy.
Stuffy. I'm like, there's no Sophie. Stuffy. But he had melons. Somebody marked them, right? They wrote on them. And he was very upset. They carved them.
Yeah. Stuffy was horrified to find the word pig cut in white letters on the green
Pig.
rind, staring at him from
Yes.
everyone.
Yes.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that was mean.
And Joe said, if you want to turn the laugh, I'll tell you how, but you must give up the melons. And he said, well, I will, for I can't thrash all the boys, but I'd like to give them something to remember the mean sneaks.
Right.
Joe was pretty sure who had done the trick.
She'd seen them scheming in the corner.
Yeah. A moonlit night, a rustling in the old cherry tree near Emil's window, a cut on Tommy's finger, all helped to confirm her suspicion. And having cooled Stuffy's wrath a little, she bade him bring his maltreated melons to her room and say not a word to anyone of what had happened. He did so, and the 3 wags were amazed to find their joke so quietly taken. It spoiled the fun, and the entire disappearance of the melons made them uneasy. So did Stuffy's good nature, for he looked more placid and plump than ever, and surveyed them with an air of calm pity that perplexed them much. At dinner time they discovered why, for then Stuffy's vengeance fell upon them, and the laugh was turned against them. When the pudding was eaten and the fruit was put on, Mary Ann reappeared in a high-stated giggle, bearing a large watermelon. Silas followed with a third, and with another, and Dan brought up the rear with a third. One was placed before each of the three guilty lads, and they read on the smooth green skin this addition to their own work, with the compliments of the pig. Everyone else read it also, and the whole table was in a roar, for the trick had been whispered about, so everyone understood the sequel. Emil, Ned, and Tommy did not know where to look, and had not a word to say for themselves, so they wisely joined in the laugh, cut up the melons, and handed them round, saying what all the rest agreed to, that Stuffy had taken a wise and merry way to return good for evil. Dan had no garden, as he had said.
Yeah. He helps
Um,
people with their gardens.
as well as helping chop wood for Asia, helping Silas wherever he could, helping take care of the lawn.
Busy kid, teenager, adults like
He's a teenager.
And then let's see. He figures he'll get a good harvest of the woods instead. Um, what on earth is Silas talking about? Have
I
you
don't know. I
sold
don't have
them?
the book with me.
Have you sold them nuts to the squirrels? No, answered Rob, wondering what Silas meant. Well, then you better fly round, or them spry little fellers won't leave you none. But we can meet them when we begin. There are lots of nuts, and we shall have a plenty. There ain't many more to come down, and they've cleared the ground pretty well. See if they ain't. So, yeah, they were confident that they could get the butternuts. There were plenty. And it's a very that seems like a very grasshopper and the ant and the grasshopper, whatever that parable was
Yeah.
called. Fable.
That the movie Ants is based off of.
What?
Is that the parable that the movie Ants is based off of?
I haven't watched
Oh.
Ants in a really long time, but I think I remember something like that.
Like the grasshoppers were bullying the ants, like
Yes.
acting
Yes.
like they were higher on the food chain.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the
Um,
ants fought back.
Yeah. So the original parable is just that the or fable, I guess, is that the grasshopper wants decides to just play all summer, and the ant works hard all summer. And then come wintertime, the grasshopper doesn't have any food, and he begs for ant from the food, and the ant's like, I told you all summer that you should work, and you kept telling me that there was plenty of time to gather and you would enjoy the summer and play for now.
Oops. I
So
messed up in the previous row, but I'm not going back.
She's like, I've
Been
gone
there,
too
done that.
far.
I
Well,
usually
it's-
find a if the mess up affects how many stitches I have, I just add in or subtract whatever stitches I need to rather than go back.
Yeah, I mean it's not that far, but I did 4 double crochets instead of 3, so it's a little bulky.
Yeah.
That's all. Doesn't really affect this row. It's just
That's
it's
good.
something I can tell. Just looks a little bulky.
So then
Um,
Joe says, "Come, my laddies, the squirrels are hard at it, and you'll have to work well to get today, or they'll have every nut on the ground." And Robbie's like, "No, they won't."
it's like not my nuts. He wants those.
Teddy went too and worked like a little beaver, trotting to and fro with full and empty baskets.
It's cute.
He's so cute. I just keep picturing him like my nephew. I really do.
They're just cute little toddlers, like just walking around. Adorable.
in his basket, but he's like working like a little beaver and he's getting it done, man. And when it's time to go in, and they're like, no, let us stay out and pick. These horrid squirrels will have my nuts if you don't. I'll do my lessons by and by, cried Rob, running into the schoolroom, flushed and tossed up by the fresh cold wind and his eager work. If you'd been up early and done a little every morning, there would be no need to hurry now. I told you that, Rob, and you never minded. I cannot have the lessons neglected as the work has been. The squirrels will get more than their share this year, and they deserve it, for they have worked best. You may go an hour earlier, but that is all.
That's what you get
Our
for
lessons,
playing.
good lessons. And then um and then did the squirrels steal some of the nuts that they had gathered? Is that what I'm seeing here?
I don't know.
As I'm just scanning this.
I think my attention faded at the end of the chapter because
They
I
referred to
remember
him
the
as
squirrels,
Frisky.
but, like,
Rob fell to work and the ground was cleared before 2 o'clock, the nuts safely in the corn barn loft, and the weary workers exulted of their success. But Frisky and his wife were not to be vanquished so easily, and when Rob went up to look at his nuts a few days later, he was amazed to see how many had vanished. None of the boys could have stolen them because the door had been locked. The doves could not have eaten them, and there were no rats about. There was great lamentation among the young bears, till Dick said, I saw Frisky on the roof of the corn barn. Maybe he took them. I know he did. I'll have a trap and kill him dead, cried Rob, disgusted with Frisky's grasping nature. Perhaps if you watch, you can find out where he puts them, and I may be able to get them back for you, said Dan, who was much amused by the fight between the boys and the squirrels. It's like the New England version of the Great Emu War. Oh, you little villains, I'll cheat you now and not leave one, said Rob. So he cleared the corner in the corn barn and put the contested nuts in the garret, making sure that no broken window pane could anywhere let in the unprincipled squirrels. They seemed to feel that the contest was over and retired to their hole, but now and then they could not resist throwing down nutshells on Rob's head and scolding violently as if they could not forgive him nor forget that he had the best of the battle.
Squirrels were
I'm just picturing Chippendale.
Yep.
Even though they're chipmunks, but technically chipmunks are a variety of squirrels, so. And Father and Mother Bear's harvest was of a different sort and not so easily described, but they were satisfied with it, felt that their summer work had prospered well, and by had a harvest that made them very happy. So,
We have 3 chapters left.
and we will not be meeting on the 17th, so our next one will be on October 1st.
Nice.
17th, I will be, that whole week, I'll be at the Farmington Fair. And I don't know yet what time I'll be getting home in the evenings, but even if I'm home by then, I will not
You'll be exhausted.
to be doing it.
And
So,
that's okay.
for October 1st, we will be reading chapter 19, John Broke. I've heard of him. And chapter 20, Round the Fire.
So just 2 out of
That's
the 3.
the really long one.
Yeah, the 3 are kind of like they're too long to combine together. And the
Yeah,
last 2 are debatable to make into their own, to be honest.
Yeah.
So reading 19 and 20 for next time, the 1st of October.
well, that means that we'll be reading
Joe's boys.
for October 15th, we'll be reading Thanksgiving, just a little over a month before Thanksgiving. So I think that works out pretty well.
There you go. Oh, Kara, you missed it, but 2 days from now, the Thursday, is the 4-year mark of me starting my shop. So
Congrats.
thank you. I gotta start. I gotta restart it again. Not like restart, like refocus on it. Because I haven't done much for the past year and a half.
It's almost like other stuff's been happening or something.
Almost. No.
Well, I have soaps actually actively listed on my website now.
Yeah.
And I am working on getting the candles listed. And then I'm also going to have a section with some select crochet items from my friend Amber. She's been crocheting just the thing that we're looking for is, the series of a bunch of the same thing instead of, a bunch of one-offs.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get some of those listed. And I will be the thing that I'm going to kind of have to do is one-offs, or as I polish my rocks and start putting them on necklaces. Each rock's different. I can't duplicate the rocks.
You could do assorted, you call it assorted or random, but that's about the best.
Yeah. I can also do like similar types of wrapping on them, and they'll be, it's granite, it's wrapped more or less in this way, depending on the shape of the stone, but you'll get a different shape each time or something.
Right, because with
or it's
natural stones, people don't expect them to be all the same shape or
right,
size.
or it's quartz or whatever. But a lot of them, like this one, is such a unique one. It's got to be its own thing.
Right.
But first, I have to figure out how to get them to actually polish. And for some reason, they do not seem inclined to do so. So I will figure it out. Meanwhile, I still need to go eat some supper. So I'm gonna go do that.
All right.
Everybody say bye.